30th to play the world-famous Agora. You can go to agoracleveland.com for the tickets and the information on the show and anything else attendant to it. Caller 10, these tickets are yours. 2 for Rise Against this fall. Good luck. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
Who needs broadcasting awards?
I like the sound of my own voice award.
When you've won World's Sexiest and 5 years in a row.
And the winner is
Alan Cox.
On 100.7.
Am I going to ask that guy's question from yesterday about whether or not he wore stunt foreskin?
I think you better.
In Eastern Promises. Maybe I will. You know what? When I was talking to that guy yesterday, in my brain, I'm thinking, there's no way, But then I thought better of it and go, yeah, why not? Because who else would have the audacity to ask him a question like that? And so maybe I will. Now, Paul Scheer is going to be on the show tomorrow. He's a funny dude. I'm not going to ask him about his foreskin. I have a lot of other things I want to talk to him about. But I don't think foreskin is going to be one of them. Ian Bagg is going to be in here on Friday. He's a longtime friend of the show. Mary will be in here as well. Mm-hmm. And he's Canadian. Maybe we'll talk foreskin. I certainly don't want the subject to go by undiscussed. Hold on. Nope. Hey, if you listen to us on iHeartRadio, tell me where. So make sure you're on the map here. I'm thinking about our bureau chiefs up there in Erie, Pennsylvania. Just up the road from us, really. Erie, PA. Specifically because once and for all, they've shut down the Red Lobster. And, plenty of cities and states around the country now are facing a future without the big RL. Unbelievably, Ohio is not one of those states. Red Lobster has filed a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and so that means that they're closing lots of their restaurants. And they have lists online that you can go to about where those locations are, and I literally think the one closest to us is up there in Erie, PA. A lot of them in California and Florida, obviously, but none in Ohio, none in Michigan. They're closing them in Denver and suburban Denver and Atlanta, Southern Illinois, Indianapolis has a bunch of Red Lobsters that are going away. Our bureau chiefs all throughout the great state of Maryland, New York, up there in Buffalo. But I am most fascinated by the fact, because the log line on the Red Lobster thing was they sold so much shrimp and it was so cheap that they lost a lot. They lost too much money. That this is what led Red Lobster to go belly up, or at least to have, Chapter 11 just means you get your creditors to let you reevaluate your debts and things like that. But there is an investigation into Red Lobster, which I think is interesting, without getting too much in the weeds on it. The investigation to Red Lobster is that a company, the majority owner of the company that owns Red Lobster, was a fishing company overseas that needed to make money selling shrimp. And so what they did was they bought a controlling interest in the company that owns Red Lobster and then forced them to only buy their shrimp from them, meaning that they would sell them a lot of shrimp, more than the company would normally want to sell at such low prices, so that it wasn't some dumb decision by whoever was running Red Lobster, but it was more at the direction of the fishing company that was like, hey, let's buy control of Red Lobster and then force them to buy our shrimp.
They're Big Short in their shrimp.
Yeah. They forced Red Lobster to eliminate 2 of their other shrimp suppliers, leading a company called Thai Union with an exclusive deal. that cost Red Lobster more money. You know, that's what happens when a lot of these equity firms come in, too, is they will extract whatever money they can from the equity in the company, but basically, you know, leave it a shell of its former self. The Red Lobster Company has $300 million in debt. To which iHeartRadio said, hold my beer, some years ago. And so this is a legitimate investigation into what the hell happened to Red Lobster, other than we sold too much shrimp. You might have seen online people who were on the wait staff at Red Lobster locations that are closing, and the horror stories they're telling. Anybody who's ever worked in the service industry has horror stories, obviously. We were talking about yesterday, like, you know, waiting and tipping out the bar and, you know, people who were working on both sides of that equation. There's always some kind of argument. Not to mention the nastiness that you'll get from customers. And if you've got a place like Red Lobster that is very famously saying, hey, come on in America, eat tons of shrimp and pay next to nothing for it. The people who are now out of work at these locations are telling their stories online, and you're glad you're not them. James from New Jersey said, I had a guy come in with his family. It was a family of 5. And he, by himself, did 16 rounds of shrimp scampi. Ooh. He was there for over 2 hours. I just had to watch this man eat plates upon plates of shrimp scampi, which isn't even served over pasta. It's just shrimp and a garlic wine butter.
That's it. It's just shrimp and butter.
Oh, so it's not on pasta.
No.
Oh, it's like the metal plate, the hot metal tin plate or something.
No, it's like a little
like a boat.
Boat, yeah. This dude Sir Yacht, who's like a Cleveland content creator, just did like 8 hours of endless shrimp, and he said he ate around 200 shrimp or something like that
in 8 hours.
Insane.
Yeah,
those are the full size shrimp.
Whatever the ones like the endless shrimp that they have.
Well, you can get like popcorn. I mean, you could eat 200 popcorn. It wouldn't take it. It took him 8 hours to eat 200 shrimp?
Yeah.
Really?
He was just there.
You're going to feel sick, dude.
Yeah.
Listen,
Like
you guys make fun of me all the
trips.
time. I don't know what makes people sick. Clearly, people are stuffing their gullet full of crap that I can't even fathom. So I genuinely don't know how long it would take somebody to eat 200 shrimp. There's simply no way to know how many shrimp that is on average per hour.
Oh, he was there for 10 hours.
10 hours. It's even harder to figure out how many per hour. 200 shrimp.
Probably about 4 or 5.
4 or 5 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this was a live stream. He chronicled this. Is that what it was?
He films it and then he puts it on his YouTube channel.
Uh-huh. Now, do people watch it for the full 10 hours, or does he supercut it?
No, it's a supercut. It's like a 13-minute long video, but lots of people watch it. It's got 400,000 views.
Is it called Watch Me Eat Shrimp?
It says, I ate endless shrimp at Red Lobster for 10 hours.
Yep. Well, so the problems that they found with this promotion is that people came in thinking, oh, I'll feed my whole family for this.
Yeah, you can, like, 1 per person.
But you couldn't do that.
No, you can't bring 7 people and order 1 endless shrimp.
Right. So these people were getting screamed at all the time. I would get screamed at constantly, said one waitress. It tops any customer service experience I've ever had. There are all kinds of stupid people, she said, and they all wander into Red Lobster. People would come to looking to pig out on shrimp and just wouldn't leave, she said, because they just park it and keep buying shrimp. God, imagine working in that kitchen. I mean, you're probably, putting most of it into a fryer or whatever, but.
Yeah, he does the math, and he thinks he got about $178 worth of value out of the amount of shrimp he ate.
Wow. That was locally?
Yeah. He travels around all over, but he's from Lakewood. I see him walking all the time, and we bump into each other. Nice dude. He's killing himself for content, but...
You guys are walking around and you bump into each other. Are the sidewalks really narrow or what?
Yes, that's what I meant. I meant we literally bump into each other. God damn you.
Another waitress watched one guy take down 30 orders of fried shrimp in 4 hours. This is what I'm talking about. I don't know how long it takes people to stuff their gaping maw with food. She said that comes out to about 14,000 calories. And so the people who are no longer working at Red Lobster obviously won't miss the arguments and the confrontations, because one of the other rules is you can't get a box to take anything home. You got to eat it there. And so she's like, you'd have people that would order a bunch of stuff thinking they were going to take it with them. And you also can't share with the rest of the table.
But
everybody's got to get their own.
This stuff is all explicitly written out in the directions or in the on the menu, but people don't read it.
Right.
And they go, blah, blah, blah.
But at least with that, you have something to point to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of situations where you don't have something to point to, and you're like, well, it's in the fine print. Mother's Day was the worst, according to people who worked at Red Lobster. It was the biggest day on the calendar at Red Lobster. Well, we talked about that when I thought the one in North Olmsted was closed. People were texting me going, nope, we're just there for Mother's Day, and there was a line around the block. Imagine waiting in line with all the places that you can make reservations to go for Mother's Day. You're waiting in line at Red Lobster. But, yeah.
People love Red Lobster, man. I don't know why that's surprising. Mother's Day is
because
the
I guess
busiest.
it wasn't on my radar, and every time I would drive past a Red Lobster, there was no one in the parking lot.
It's
there were no cars.
affordable, fancy food.
No, I
That's
understand
what
it.
poor people think fancy food is.
I just never wasn't there a Red Lobster? What was across the street from us in Independence? There was an Applebee's.
Yeah.
There was a Longhorn Steakhouse. I guess it wasn't a Red Lobster.
Oh.
But anytime I've passed a Red Lobster, and again, it's just anecdotal, but I never saw. It wasn't like the parking lot was full.
Well, if you go, it depends on what time you go. If you go
like nighttime,
nighttime,
dinner time,
it's going to be busy.
I didn't see anybody.
I feel like this is just you going, nobody's ever there, because there's always people there. And they're getting that endless shrimp, and they're going crazy.
Yeah.
Or a biscuit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the other side of the coin of the wait staff who had a bad time were the people who went there to eat for cheap. They're all bummed out. Michael Durant is a 23-year-old who's broke all the time and would go to Red Lobster and eat a lot of shrimp because he could get a lot of it for not a lot of money.
You get about the same amount of shrimp from the grocery store for $25.
Is that
But
true?
then you have to cook.
Yeah, you have to prepare it.
Oh, yeah. He said he once spent between 3 and 4 hours in the dining room eating 83 shrimp in total and took, quote, at least one nap at the table.
I feel like there should be a no nap rule, too. No napping.
No napping. And also, I guess my other thought is how trash is the rest of the menu at Red Lobster? Because it doesn't sound like anybody's ordering anything else. If you go in for this, like there's others. I mean, people like the Cheddar Bay biscuits.
That's very good, I think, in my opinion.
It also just depends on what you want. If you don't want shrimp that day, you get crab legs or lobster or whatever.
Mm.
But that stuff's not as cheap. Like crab legs and shrimp are going to be usually market price.
Yeah.
But the value is in the endless shrimp.
Alan, the finance bros sold Red Lobster the land and then leased it back to them. That's why they went bankrupt. The shrimp thing is just propaganda. So we don't call for regulations.
On what?
I'm not clear. Shrimp reg. Hey, that's how Ray Kroc got rich on McDonald's. He's like, we're not in the hamburger business. We're in the real estate business. Right? Ray Kroc, I mean, when there was a McDonald's every 10 feet, you leased the land. And that's how they were making the money. Didn't matter if the McDonald's was doing well. Didn't matter how many hamburgers they were selling. They were making money on the land. Alan, the Red Lobster in Beechwood looks like a Scooby-Doo ghost town set piece. Well, there you go. So, yeah. How come this was never bankrupting them before COVID?
Because they didn't.
Oh, the
It's
vaccine.
the suppliers.
No, the vaccine.
I believe in the supplier situation
Nope.
where the suppliers were bullied out by the one. And then
Pfizer.
they forced
Shrimp
them.
Pfizer.
Yeah, Shrimp Pfizer? Okay. Never mind. It's Shrimp Pfizer.
Yep, shrimp Pfizer.
All the shrimp had heart attacks.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
right.
don't know what they're putting into that shrimp.
They were 1 minute they're playing basketball, the next minute they're dead on the floor.
Yep.
Yeah, the vaccine, right?
You forgot about the vaccine.
All
didn't you?
the shrimp,
Of course I
That's
forgot
what they
about
wanted
it.
you
It
to
killed
do.
me.
all the shrimp took the vaccine. They all got the shot.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why it's funny, too. You know, you've seen the articles about all of these companies now are slashing their prices. Target is one, Target's, so they can compete and blah, blah, blah. They're taking all these products and they're slashing their prices, which is hyperbole of the highest order. I mean, something costs 20 cents less. But Walmart's doing it, and Macy's and McDonald's and Burger King. And you're like, gee, it's like inflation is all completely manufactured by the companies so they can squeeze every last nickel out of us, right? Oh, wow, you guys all of a sudden, hey, we're going to make stuff affordable again. Wow. Interesting how that works. They even made up a word, right? Shrinkflation. They just made that up. They go, well, you're going to get less, but we're going to charge you the same or more. And everybody went, what are you going to do? So, yeah. The shrimp took the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. Speaking of McDonald's, you had one of those Grandma McFlurries yet?
The what?
No.
The Grandma McFlurry?
No.
They're rolling those out.
What is in it?
Well, it's made with bits of real grandma, I assume. But
I can't afford that.
No.
Grandma's
it's a
expensive.
terrifying name. It's called the Grandma McFlurry. Hey, why does this taste ashy? No, it's supposed to appeal to younger people by tasting like something sweet that your grandmother would have in their purse. This is a reach. Made with syrup and chopped candy pieces. Whatever. They're rolling them out. I don't know. I don't know that the Gen Z grandmas, though. If you're Gen Z, your grandma's 60. Right? They're not walking around with Werther's Originals in their purse anymore. That's the nostalgia they're going for. But they're also trying to.
They got Xanax and White Claw.
Yeah, Xannies. So I don't know what they're going for. That's the old joke about grandmas. They got butterscotch in their purse, but that's like from 40 years ago. There are a lot of young grandmas out. They're named Jackie. They have a wrist tattoo of a koi fish. That's who grandma is now. She's not, handing you buttermints. Maybe they are. I don't know. My grandma never had Werther's Originals in her purse. She had denture gum.
I feel like my grandma didn't have a purse.
She had a pocketbook, Mary.
She,
of course she
never
didn't have a
went
purse.
Anywhere.
Oh. No, my grandma had something called Free Dent. You ever seen Free Dent?
I've heard of that.
Yeah. It's gum for people, as the name implies. It's gum for people who have dentures. It doesn't stick to your dentures. But as a kid, it'd be up in the cabinet or whatever, and I'd grab a piece of gum, and it had this weird consistency to it, obviously, because it was meant to be not as sticky as regular gum. And so I acquired a taste for Free Dent, which is not a good look. Like if you're stopping in at the White Hen Pantry with a date to get something, she's like, what are you going to do? I'm just going to pick up a pack of Free Dent.
Just real quick.
Real quick. So, yeah, the Grandma McFlurry. They say it's like digging a spoon in Grandma's purse, which is the worst possible way to sell anything, I think. But it is a terrifying name. A lot of people thought it was fake, but it's not. They're rolling it out. Tell the naughty kids in line at McDonald's that the Grandma McFlurry is made with real grandmas. And if they don't stop acting up, they'll take Meemaw to the back and add her to the machine. That's one person's write-ups.
It's not broken today.
They need to follow it up with the Grandpa McFlurry. Tastes like Swisher Sweets, Coors Banquet, and reading the newspaper in the bathroom for an hour and a half. Well, anyway,